And you're just in time for your most comprehensive analysis on business, economics, and public policy at large here on Business Glide Show, hosted by yours truly, your resident economist, Richard Mwenja. Indeed, always a pleasure to have you on board. Now, today on this particular edition, which just comes a day after the 2023-2024 financial year budget was tabled in Parliament by the CS for Treasury in Njuguna Ndung'u, and this show particularly is in place to unpack some of the winners therein, losers therein, and generally how the budget is. Is it a people-centered budget? Those are some of the questions that we're going to ask on this edition. Of course, this is the first part coverage. Next week, we'll still be rolling out subsequent coverage of the budget. So do keep tuned on this particular edition and this particular show and channel. And definitely, you will have value for your time. And with me to unpack this year's budget is none other than celebrated public scholar in Kenya and even beyond the borders, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you.
You've been away for more than a week.
You know I've been unwell, Richard, please.
Simba ilinyeshewa finally.
But now, back.
You're back? But people were so much worried. You're a man from Luombei. Villagers were calling us all over the place. Our fans. 1 week. What was happening though?
Life is like that. Sometimes you get down the weather. I was unwell.
I though take concern with your friends. I camped by your hospital bed for an entire week.
Thank you very much.
None of your friends from the political class was there. Are you surrounded by fake friends or what?
One, when I'm going through things like those, I don't like publicizing it. Secondly, politicians are animals who only use you when they need you. Even if they hear you are dying, they wouldn't sometimes care. I don't blame anybody. That's the nature of things. Secondly, I never reached out to any politician to tell them I was unwell.
There you are aware.
So long as you are there and my family and the rest of you people, and I thank you so much. That's what matters.
That's now
genuine friends. You need people who are genuine.
Genuine friends.
Yeah.
We brought you flowers.
You brought you flowers. And
I ate your food.
and some of them ate my food when I couldn't eat.
Of course. Many of them, plenty of them. And Aga Khan actually offers very good services. So you have to appreciate all the doctors.
Exactly. My doctors, nurses, very wonderful people.
Very wonderful people.
Dr. Patrick, Dr. Rianga, the consultant, nurses like Chege.
Yeah. And also those casuals who are accompanied by your bed to give you morale.
Mary, Esther, wonderful people.
Wonderful people.
Yeah, very wonderful people.
So that probably makes me, into the list of
and
those.
That's why I've always said, in 2007 I almost died from acute pancreatitis. And because I was in the village, I'm lucky that I'm 16 kilometers from Kisumu town, and lucky that there's a hospital like Aga Khan in Kisumu. I would have died, certainly. I would not have made it Nairobi. No doctor gave me that chance. All of them reviewing my case said, there's no way I would have made it Nairobi. No, unless I had a chartered plane perhaps from my village. That's why I'm a big supporter of devolution. Big supporter of devolution. And my argument has been, as a country, we must make sure we have Kenyatta National Hospital in every county. Not these simple things you are calling level 5. No, I really Kenyatta National Hospital.
Universal health coverage is
in
there.
In every county, and we can afford it. And including private players like Aga Khan and the rest, Nairobi Hospital should have at least 10 branches. Aga Khan should be beyond Mombasa and Kisumu. They should be in Nyeri, they should be in Kitale.
Are you from the school of thought that perhaps we should now come with a health service commission just like TSC, JSC, probably to spearhead such reforms?
I don't believe in these commissions. I believe in men and women of capacity. So that if you give somebody Minister of Health to be in CS, let it be a person of ideas, a person who can transform that ministry in 5 years. You give somebody Principal Secretary, Director of Medical Services. They should be men and women whose dream should be to plant Kenyatta National Hospital the way it is in every county in the next 10 years. We have the resources, we have the capacity. What are we waiting for?
Political will, perhaps?
What are you waiting for? Because if you are sick and you are lying in a hospital like I was lying in Aga Khan, and you are looking at the kind of attention you are receiving, and if you are a human being, you can't help thinking, what are we doing to our fellow citizens who can't even get 1/10 of that attention?
It is why this budget is centered to improve the affairs of the hustlers.
Maybe.
Maybe? Maybe we should dig deeper into that. You've seen the 3.68 trillion Kenya shillings budget has been tabled by the CS Treasury. Why are you laughing though? Actually, before it actually eludes me, am I finally part of your will? I come by your bedside throughout before we now get to the real discussion.
You replace one of the boys who didn't come.
Who never came, or who had the patient's food.
Yes.
All right. That is encouraging enough.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Yes.
We've seen the CS Treasury in Njuguna Ndugu table the 3.68 trillion budget statement. And of course, over time, it has come out to be the largest or the hugest chunk of allocations that government wants to spend. And therein, the question is, do you feel that this is a hustler-centered budget? This is a hustler government. And if you unpack some of the tools therein, then there's so much that is left for questioning. Do you feel from a general standpoint that this budget is going to revitalize the fortunes of hustlers, Mamamboga, SMEs and all that?
I don't see anywhere.
You don't see it anywhere? Increased?
Yeah, Azimio is coming up with theirs. Hope is not the same stuff. You must start from zero. There's nothing to copy. There's nothing to start from. This budget should not have started from where Uhuru was. Just start your own. Think. Look at your country. Look at the resources you have. Look at the limitations. Come up with a budget. So if the Azimio budget is going to be a reaction of this budget, I'll just look at it and laugh.
You're going to look at it and laugh.
If it's done by houseboy, World Bank trained houseboys, it will be the same.
It will be the same?
They can't think outside the box. They think the same. All of them. Yeah. You need someone like me to look at what the economists have put down and tell them, what is this? This is nonsense.
We're going to get in the specifics in a few. But then again, now that we're talking about World Bank boys, we've seen the handwriting of IMF, World Bank, Bretton Woods institutions make way into this year's budgets. Policies such as the restructuring of Kenya Power and Lighting Company, restructuring of KQ, and all those stringent measures that were attached with their loans. Do you think that if we fully follow their advisory on this particular budget for 2023-2024, perhaps we could have a change of dawn economically?
When this structural adjustment things and conditionalities from IMF and the bank, when they began, the first generation, I think the early 80s, we were not boys, we were just men. I'm yet to see where any of those things has worked. So if I am the president of a country, I'll look for a whip, nyaunyo, and go looking for any IMF boy in town and
you can
deliver them to the airport, all of them. Nothing good can come from them.
Nothing good can come from them?
Never.
How about the statement by President Ruto just a few days before the budget was tabled, in which he says, many people tell me I should think about my second term. My second term will be meaningless if my first term achieves nothing. I am not here so that I can have a second term. I am here because I want to make a difference. Do you feel that the true north towards gaining this difference squarely starts with this budget that he has presented?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Not even after the Washington Post has made, public an article.
What does the Washington Post know about Kenya?
Kenya is poised to be the Singapore of Africa.
What do they know? To become a Singapore, there are basic things you remove. Uchafu tu, natoa uchafu. Unajua watu walikuwa wanachapwa. There was a, these some guys are just joking. There was a saying, gummed rails Singapore. Gummed rails
Singapore.
In its two senses. So, the beginning point before you think of being a Singapore is to get rid of small little things from the way and replace cheap thinking with serious thinking. Before you, what step can you make before you remove thick? If you put small people with small brains with small thinking in charge of government, how can you expect to be Singapore?
It has been published.
No, Singapore. Also, they know nothing. They're just talking. They have maybe they have a field day. Maybe they have business. Maybe Americans will be getting businesses.
The message has been supported by the sitting president, William Ruto.
Forget about it. They cannot. You cannot change this country before you deal with the fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
Yes.
And if it's about changing the dealing with the fundamentals, then our economy players, majorly, those in business are SMEs. They are in. And in part of making that difference in their lives and for the economy at large, we've seen increased allocation towards the SMEs. If I can actually get the figures right, Hustler Fund 10 billion Kenya shillings pumped into Hustler Fund now, 175 million for the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, another 300 million.
No, you are going too fast.
I mean, you've seen increased
Just say
allocation
one.
towards...
What is Hustler Fund? Is that Hustler Fund something you can put on the table where serious men and women are sitting? Everybody just walk out and go away. You can't bring Hustler Fund there. This is a fuliza.
Do you know how many SMEs have started?
Which you can you start SME with 500 shillings? This small thinking is what will destroy this country. Hustler Fund is a fuliza, which is a political thing. It's okay for politics. Wacha watu wa fuliza ngiri moja 500, you can kuja mugoka kidogo. Yes, he's happy, but it's not something that can change anything. It's not a business thing.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts.
No, you cannot give people 500 shillings and you tell them I've given you money. That's an insult on the intelligence of Kenyans. The next one was
empowering women through the, I mean,
which one? Yeah, there was 10 billion Hustler Fund.
182.8 million for the Women Enterprise Fund.
182
million, an increase.
Million.
Yeah. We need women in our devolved units.
You know what, my friend? From the 1960s, so much money has been poured in this country to go to women groups and so on and so forth. There is nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it?
I've watched with my eyes from before EU was called EU, it was called European Commission. Wameanzisha projects za wanawake mayai huko nyumbani. Margaret Thatcher has come up with her support, UK. We have witnessed dairies, women group, youth fund, what. Have you seen them bearing any fruit? Who told you the women fund,
Enterprise Fund
has not changed this country and women in particular because they needed another 180 million? There's some cheapness in thinking I'm talking about. If something has been running for the last 20, 30 years and there's nothing to show for it, and billions have been spent, you want merely because you are bringing an extra 1 billion, you think there will be a difference? Then your head has to be examined.
Really?
Of course.
Then where does the journey towards improving the life of
this stupid cliche of doing the same thing and expecting difference, you know, it plays out clearly in our case. Youth fund, women, these things have been there, devolved units, devolved funds. If you are to take stock of how much has been spent, there was a time the donor community was so generous, they were never even asking questions. Before they realized these black people, you pour money, they just eat.
An opportunity to steal.
If you look at how much money has been spent as devolved funds, you run away because of the figures, the astonishing figures.
So for you, just how much is enough?
It's not a question of money, it's a question of the thinking. It's a question of
thinking.
You would hear the president and people around him, and before him there was Uhuru and the rest and the people around them talking so much about TVET. But TVETs were there. They started as Youth Polytechnic. In fact, they were called Village Polytechnic. And then people said one of the reasons why children didn't want them was the name. So they changed to Youth Polytechnic. So TVET and what have you. But why do you think the uptake is so low? You think adding more polytechnic is the answer? We have added TVETs.
Yeah,
we have added allocation to TVET.
To hire teachers.
Cheap thinking, because there must be a reason. In a country where if your car breaks down in Lombe, you have a problem getting somebody to fix it. In a country if there's water leaking in your house, you can spend 3 days looking for a plumber in the village, even in Nairobi here. In a country where contractors have a problem on a housing project getting plumbers. In a country like that, the village polytechnics are empty. You must start there. There's something wrong.
Not
There's
about
something
increasing
wrong.
hiring tutors?
No, there must be something wrong. That's where you start. But you don't even need to go far.
Where then do you start?
In a country where all the shoes we are hearing here, all of us here, none of these shoes are produced in this country. How can you develop the textile industry to create jobs and teach children about leather industry?
We've started with Rivertex.
Which, there's nonsense, been there. In a country where We have Form 1 students joining boarding schools in their hundreds of thousands every year and requiring beds. No single polytechnic, no single youth polytechnic or TVET is being commissioned by government to construct those beds. Look, this is a country devoid of any thinking and ideas. So any of these things are just superficial. Nobody believes in any of those things.
Very well.
If today you said, Kibaki tried a bit, it failed, about government furniture. If you see the sort of rubbish coming from the port of Mombasa,
Imports.
creating jobs in China at called furniture. Furniture in government offices. If you are given one chair in a government office, if it can last you 1 year, still called a chair, and they are all imported.
You have quality assurance officers.
So how can you talk of TVET in a country like that? If government said all beds used in our boarding schools, even as we plan to phase them out, will only come from TVETs, period. No government check shall go to anybody else. Period. You can now see the polytechnics will begin to gain traction. But you have to say we are pumping money into TVET.
Hiring personnel.
And personnel.
Capitation.
Who tell you they are not teachers? In my place, you
Trying
are
to
not.
create employment.
In my place, there's a village polytechnic in my. Right there, a government polytechnic. When I pass there, if I get 10 students, I'm surprised.
It is the duty of government to create employment opportunities, and it's perhaps why it's increasing capitation to also hire more Kenyans who are jobless.
Which you do to train who now? There are more teachers than students.
Before we actually conclude, in the interest of time, because this is a conversation that is going to be there for quite a while, we are covering it in stages, in parts.
Yes.
The CS Treasury in Njuguna Ndung'u has justified this year's, the coming year's financial budget, that unlike what people are suggesting that's going to be manipulative and really robbing into people's pockets, the financial bill of 2023 should lead sail through, even through the final reading stage. It is going to help Kenya fix its public debt, which is of course ballooning by time. Do you feel that will really, bring to an end the issue of a ballooning wage bill, public debt in the fullness of time before the 5 years end for Ruto's term?
I've not seen measures to convince me that we are doing anything about our public debt.
The finance bill is going to raise enough revenue
Where?
for us to repay our debts.
You don't kill people through taxation so that you pay debts, and which debts keep increasing. So the solution is a mirage, because it is moving. You are telling Kenyans, I'm going to tax you to pay the debt, but the target keeps moving. So you continue taxing Kenyans. You bleed them until they all die. That's not thinking. That is empty. There's no thinking there from the professor. There's emptiness. There's no thinking. Absolutely. You cannot tax Kenyans to pay tax, to pay debts. You become more innovative, more creative. You sit down with your team and ask yourself, is it not possible that from this budget we can mine 300 billion, 400 billion without affecting many things? The same government that is looking for taxes from people to pay debts is the same government that goes around the country promising people roads.
In 6 months' time.
Promising this in 3 months, promising this in 6 months run, which all those things require financing. And therefore the same government, in order to keep these political promises, will have to borrow. You float this big, what do you call, bonds?
Yeah, treasury bonds.
The treasury bonds. Europe, whatever, something in like that Euro bond, for example. And many people, now people know you are paying such a good interest. They oversubscribe, you bring yote. Then you go back to Wanjiko. Where? Kachini. Bring tax. That cannot be thinking.
It can be.
It cannot be thinking.
Do you think President Ruto is blind enough?
It is what any fool can do. If you purport to deal with the public debt by taxing Kenyans, that That is the first thinking any fool will give you. You don't even need to go to school to say that. Because government has almost unlimited access to taxes from the people. That's where they will go. But where is the thinking there? That is cheap.
Questioning the intelligence of economic advisors to the president?
Of course, they don't have any.
No president can make that mistake on their debut budget.
But why have they made the mistake?
Maybe it's not a mistake. Maybe you're playing opposition.
No. With me?
Attacks.
Me?
Maybe.
No. Me, I'm a government person. I'm pro-Ruto.
You're pro-Ruto?
Yeah.
When not even Dini Nyoro came to visit you at the hospital?
I don't need Dini Nyoro to. Even when you hear them. You know, let me tell you this. I watched the guy from in the breaks of my sickness and what.
Yeah.
I watched people on TV in Dini Nyoro, the rest of these people. I said, God save this country. And then I listened to somebody reading a budget, Professor Njuguna Ndongo.
I said, 129 pages.
Even the reading itself. Even the confidence it should inspire. Because this time, the people of this country require and they need hope more than anything else. Not even food on the table, hope. That tomorrow will be a better day.
Not just hope.
Njuguna did not sell any hope to the people. In fact, by the time he finished, the whole country was scared.
The same was said to President Uhuru. He was selling hope to the nation.
Which who? When he was where? He was how did he perform where he was? And the evidence is there. When banks ran amok, everything. You know, so, and I'm not against anybody. I'm just saying when I watch Njuguna reading the budget, I don't see any inspiration. I don't see any hope.
You don't see it?
I don't see a man who is in control of the situation. I don't see a man who understands the situation.
Maybe Korea.
You know, even when measures are painful, there's a way in which the finance secretary, CS treasury, can present them and engage a mind, a critical mind watching as he reads, while giving hope to the unsophisticated mind. You see, that's the kind of balance. You address the critical mind who knows the economic situation globally, the situation, the issues affecting the country that are beyond the country, that are of a global nature, and how we are mitigating those challenges. How we need internal resources to take care of things that we perhaps have gotten from its external sources, but because of certain factors like over borrowing, what have you, the dollar and what have you. At the same time, you infuse into your budget hope to that uncritical Mama Mboga, so that they know tomorrow is going to be a better day. I didn't see that.
Are you likening him to Charles Hinga, PS for housing?
No, Hinga is worse.
Hinga is worse? You can't say that.
You're going to get a C. If I'm marking, you're going to get a C. Hinga will get a D. Let me tell you, in public affairs, in public
affairs,
communication is everything.
It's everything.
And if I'm wrong, ask yourself why Ruto is the president.
Communication is everything.
The mouth here. If you had the Ruto campaign minus the Ruto mouth, would he have even gotten half of the votes he got?
Not quite.
In public affairs, communication is very important. Reading the budget at a time like this, the finance, the treasury CS ought to have been mindful of the feelings of the country, the mood in the country. And then he would have gone out of his way to assuage the fears, to create hope, and make Kenyans at the end of his budget believe things are not as bad as they had thought they were.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
And there's light.
At the end. Maybe it's why he needs you on his communication team.
He can't give me.
He can't give you. You're too low for that job, right?
Huh?
Maybe you're too low.
Too low.
Incapable.
The job I can do, the treasury, is only one.
Which is?
His job.
Not even PS Chris.
Which one? No. Chris is my friend, but the only job I can do in that place is CS Treasury.
CS Treasury. There you have it from Herman Manyora. The man never ceases to amuse us with nuggets of wisdom. Of course, talking matters, the financial year 2023-2024 budget. Of course, this is just part one coverage from a general perspective. We're going to get into specifics from next week, Monday. Trust you me, the next 2 weeks, it will be all about budget coverage. We're going to give you the most comprehensive analysis so that you as a taxpayer will be made aware of what's your duty and also the government's duty in the coming financial year. Time now for Fun of the Week. It is none other than Madam Katrina Wanjala. Katrin Wanjala.
Katrin Wanjala.
The spouse to your friend George Wanjala.
Oh, Katrina Wanjala.
Yeah.
The lady from Germany.
Yeah, sure.
I'm very, very happy to hear about her support.
About her support.
I hope to meet her one of these days.
You surely will.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
invite them on the show. They are top fans.
Yeah. We thank them so much.
All right, until next time on Business Glide, I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenja. Up next on your screen is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.